Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Marinara meatballs over rice. Today I'm going to show you a 15-minute dinner that you can make at home that is low carb and keto friendly. It is marinara meatballs over rice. Now, you can use either rice or spaghetti for this, but I prefer to have this dish over rice, and you're gonna see why when we jump right in. First thing we're going to do is we're gonna prep the meat that we're using. Now, I'm gonna be using an 85% lean ground beef. You could do 80% lean also, but I wouldn't do a 90% lean only because you wanna have that fat in there to crisp up the meat when it cooks. With my 85% lean ground beef, I'm gonna add my seasonings. For my seasonings, I'm gonna be using salt. And you guys already know all of my measurements will be down in the description below. So I'm putting in my salt. Then I'm gonna use some paprika. And this is a mild paprika. And then black pepper. I transferred the meat to a larger bowl just to make it a little bit easier to mix. And I put some food prep gloves on, and we're just going to combine the ingredients into the ground beef. Now, a lot of people, when they're making meatballs, they like to add like breadcrumbs and eggs. I just like to keep it real simple and just use the ground beef. For my preference of how I like to make meatballs, I don't like when meatballs are too large, so they're almost like a mini meatball. For the size, I like to make them this small. So it's literally about 1 inch in diameter, really, really tiny. And that way also when you're cooking it, it gets really, really crispy. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and also like this video while you're at it. We're ready to cook the meatballs. I have a steel pan that I'm heating on medium-low heat. I'm gonna add some avocado oil to the pan. And we're going to carefully drop in our meatballs. We're gonna let these meatballs cook until they develop a nice crisp on the outside. You also, of course, do not have to use a steel pan. If you don't have a steel pan, you can heat it to medium heat and do the same thing. The steel pan just allows the meatballs to develop a nicer crisp than what you would get with a non-stick pan. You could also use an iron skillet. That works really great as well, and you would do the same on medium-low heat. As you can see, we're starting to develop a nice crisp on the meatballs. This is why it's really important to use either an 85 or an 80% lean ground beef, because you want that fat to cook into the meatballs, and that's what allows to get the crisp. If you use the 90% lean, yes, that's still absolutely fine, but the crisp just won't be the same. That's why I like to do the higher fat content. This is also a great way to make a versatile dish with ground beef. Sometimes ground beef can get pretty boring, especially if you're just cooking ground beef by itself or hamburgers. And this just kind of gives some more variety into your diet, because I like to try to eat a lot of ground beef if I can, but sometimes I just get bored of the same old thing, and this is a great alternative. Our meatballs are done. I've turned off the heat for a moment so I can take them off of the pan. I've turned the heat back on, and now we're ready to cook our sauce and the rice. So I am gonna take some low-carb marinara. I'm just using this one from Wegmans. It's a grocery store near me, and they don't have any added sugar to it, so that's the one that I'm gonna use. I also like the Primal Kitchen one. That one is really good as well. I'm pouring about half of the jar into my pan, and we're just gonna let it heat up first. I like to cook it in that same fat as we had the ground beef, because it gets all of that delicious flavor in there. And I'm heating my steel pan to low heat. I'm now gonna add to our sauce some fresh oregano And if you don't have fresh oregano available to you, this is from my garden. You can also just use dried oregano. I'm also gonna take some fresh basil. This is from my garden as well. If you don't have fresh basil, dried basil will also do. And lastly, we're going to add some fresh pressed garlic directly into the pan. And now we're gonna mix this all together and bring our sauce up to a simmer. Once your sauce is at a simmer, you're gonna let it cook for about 30 to 45 seconds. Since this is already cooked marinara sauce, of course, you can make your own homemade marinara sauce if you like, but I just like to keep this really simple and use the one that is from the store. We're not cooking the marinara, we are just heating it and allowing the basil, oregano, and that garlic go into the sauce. After 45 seconds, I am turning the heat on the very lowest setting. And now I'm gonna add my rice of choice. You guys have seen me use this before. I love the Miracle Noodle rice, not sponsored, though I wish I was, but they are so great. And I love cooking this because it has the closest texture to real rice without all of the aftertaste that some of those low carb alternatives have. It really just absorbs the flavor of whatever you use. So I'm going to dump it into the pan. And of course, before I did this, I took it out of the package and rinsed it under cold water and strained it. I'm gonna mix this into the sauce and we're gonna let it cook for about a minute just to absorb all of that marinara flavor. I'm raising the temperature back up so we get it to a simmer again. And once it simmers, you just wanna let it sit there for a minute. After a minute, you're going to take the meatballs and throw them into the pan. And we're gonna let this cook for another minute so that our meatballs can heat back up and also absorb that delicious marinara flavor. And there you have it, delicious marinara meatballs over rice, a 15-minute dinner meal prep that is low carb and keto friendly and very high in protein. Cannot wait to dig into this. This is one of my go-tos for like a lazy dinner. Let's get a nice little bite right here. Some of our meatball and that delicious rice. Take a look at that. Just so good, so simple. Ingredients you probably already have at home. I can't wait for you guys to try this one. Cheers. So simple, so delicious. You don't have to be super great in the kitchen to enjoy this recipe and to make it at home. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Also hit that notification bell to never miss a tasty upload. Till next time.